I thought context mattered, but maybe not. So the vice president did an interview. From a communications perspective, I thought that she and Governor Walz went out and did what needed to be done. You know, she made a little news. It did no harm. But I'm wondering what your take is on the interview.
Yeah, she looked like she was very much in control. My favorite was the narrative that she needed Governor Walz there as some sort of crutch, because God forbid a black woman be able to form complete sentences in an interview by herself. But certainly she did not need him.
Notice how the rules and the bar changes.
Absolutely.
And somebody else at the top, because candidates usually do interviews with their running mates. Donald Trump, J.D. Vance,
yes.
You know,
Bush
Joe
Cheney.
Biden, Bush Cheney. Literally everyone. It's what you do.
100%. But she went out and she did a good job. I loved the way that she dismissed questions about Donald Trump's racist attacks on her, because that's not her business, that's his. But I also liked the way that she talked about how her positions have, quote unquote, changed. To me, that sounded like pragmatism. She got into the White House and she realized to achieve the goals of furthering climate policy, it takes compromise. It takes bringing people to the table. That's pragmatism. That's not a shift. A shift is what Donald Trump did in the same day, where he was for a 6-week abortion ban before he was against it within 24 hours. And I also loved her talking about why wouldn't she bring a Republican into her administration. We forget that that's something presidents always did. Obama did it. Bush did it. That was normalcy. But suddenly we're in an era, because of the focus on Trump, where everything is so tribal, and she's being a leader in that position. She's acting like presidents always have, and it's like the nation's forgotten that. It's not that she's changed, it's the nation has.
Latasha, there are a couple of, I love the fact that Kimberly used the word normal in part of her answer, because, you know, there are a lot of aspects of this campaign that are normal, that are not normal. And what is, from a political stance, not normal is going someplace you haven't won, where the people, your team, typically tells you, oh, I don't think we should waste our time or our resources there. This candidate, Kamala Harris, running for the presidency, has a different approach. And I'd like you to listen to what she talked about, you know, how she talked about Georgia voters and how Georgia has delivered. Let's listen.
Georgia, for the past 2 election cycles, voters in this very state, you who are here, have delivered. You sent 2 extraordinary senators to Washington, D.C. You sent President Biden and me to the White House. You showed up. You knocked on doors. You registered folks to vote. And you made it happen. You did that. You did that. And so now we are asking you to do it again.
So you have, you know, blue state Georgia. That's the thinking. I like it. It's aggressive. It's in your face. The interviews and all of that stuff are, you know, that's fodder for the press. But you're on the ground with real people in a state like Georgia. This kind of movement in a space where Democrats typically have been outflanked or not played well in the past says that she's taking places like Georgia very seriously. How do you see that translating on the ground in the work you're doing?
Oh, if you were there, the kind of energy and excitement that's there. You know, I think there were 3 real core messages that she sent. The first message is that every voter matters, that ultimately she went to rural Georgia, which is a place that when you're looking at the numbers is nowhere near when you see Metro Atlanta. But what she's saying is not only is she going to be the president to govern in urban areas, but also she wants to connect to voters who are out in rural America. The second thing is I think she's saying she's in it to win it, that what we know that Georgia, when you look at Georgia, particularly in the last few elections, while the urban center, that's where the bulk of the votes came from, what you saw is Biden did much better in the rural areas, that the margin of victory from in those counties that are normally Republican, that if you shave off some of that, then that also increases your ability to be able to win the state. And I think the third thing is, I think it was really interesting that one of the first places she went to was a high school, and then she went to small businesses. I think she's sending a message with her campaign is that she is going to center everyday people, that she actually is going out for the vote for young voters and also for voters in rural America and voters who literally are connected around small small businesses.
That's such an important observation, Latasha, because I do think that the vice president does have a kind of a laser focus, if you will, on small businesses. I think one of the first events she did when I worked for her at the White House, when we got there, was a round table, virtual because of COVID, with small business folks that she had met on the campaign trail to let them know that the promises she and President Biden made, they were going to follow through on. You talk about Georgia, and Chatham County is the county that Savannah sits in, and we want to put this up on the screen for folks. Secretary Clinton won 15,349 more votes than Donald Trump in that county in 2020. Biden won 25,015 more votes than Trump. That is like a net gain of a little over 9,600 votes. That is where Savannah is. And so I think growing the margins here, Kimberly, I mean, this is how you put other states in play. This is how you make sure that Georgia in 2020 wasn't a one-off, and that this, in fact, could be the norm. Georgia might be a purple state.
Yes, I think that that's absolutely right. And I think that it is important, particularly for Democrats, to go out not only because, you know, elections are won in the margins and the map that you just showed, but just even to areas. Kamala Harris has been going to areas that have voted Republican. She's been going to red counties and other places. When you are president of the United States, you are president for everyone. And I think that outreach makes a difference. It makes voters feel seen. It is not just people sitting here in Washington making all of the decisions for them and forgetting that. And I think that she is mindful of that. She's mindful that she wants to connect across the board in the way that Donald Trump certainly is not doing. He's doing most of his campaigning from Mar-a-Lago or
one of his country clubs.
Or the golf club. And she's doing something entirely different. I think that that's a really good choice that her campaign is making.
Latasha, Kimberly referenced earlier Donald Trump's misogyny and racism in his approach to candidate Harris. I'd like you to listen to the question from Dana Bash about that to Vice President Harris.
He suggested that you happened to turn black recently for political purposes, questioning a core part of your identity.
Yeah.
Any
Same old tired playbook. Next question, please.
That's it?
That's it.
All right, so just for the record, every black person has made that face.
This is the face.
It's just the face, right? It's like, really? Really? This is what you got.
It's like, okay, I'm going to answer, but...
I'm going to answer, but the face aside, which actually was the answer, which we can't say on a family show, the fact is that she is above that. She's putting herself above that. Let Donald Trump stay where he is. She's trying to elevate voters. We've been in that place for almost 10 years now. And so she's trying to elevate it up by not leaning into that. What do you think of that strategy?
One, I think it was a brilliant answer, because I think we have to really understand the character of racism. The character of racism is to make people feel like that you have to defend your humanity. That ultimately you've got to justify your presence on this very earth, that your identity is always in question and who you are. And what I think that she did in her message is said, no, I'm not doing that, that I am not going to justify who I am, my humanity or my identity. I'm not going to feed into a racist trope that we know Donald Trump uses and weaponizes. And so I think it was a brilliant answer, and I think it sends a message loud and clear that she is not going to allow Trump to define her, that she is going to stand who she's always been, and that ultimately she is so far above that she's not even going to even consider or entertain that question.
I was putting my collection plate together for the sermon that you was just preaching. Latasha, we was over here like, yes.
Well, and Latasha, Latasha, you put your finger on a point that I made very much during my time as chairman of the RNC and afterwards, that, you know, the one thing that I found offensive in the whole birtherism thing was the fact that, you know, you have to prove why you're here. And you put your finger on that very important point, and we thank you for it, because we don't have to prove. We've been here for 400 years. You here because we were here. That's how it works. You here now because we were here.
Justifying our existence.
That's right. Latasha Brown, thank you so much. Kim, stick around. We got more for you, because up next we're going to discuss the United States Army rebuking the Trump campaign this week for an incident at Arlington National Cemetery. And later this hour, Senator Elizabeth Warren joins us to discuss Trump's desperate attempt to play both sides of the reproductive rights debate. Geez, haven't we seen that movie before? This is The Weekend.
This is a nightmare.
No, I'm a nightmare. What you need is like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
State Farm can help with your claim.
Well, I feel better.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Introducing Allison's Black Psoriasis. She thinks her flaky gray patches are all people see.
Otezla is the #1 prescribed pill to treat plaque psoriasis. Over here. Otezla can help you get clearer skin and reduce itching and flaking with no routine blood tests required. Doctors have been prescribing Otezla for over a decade. Otezla is also approved to treat psoriatic arthritis. Don't use Otezla if you're allergic to it. Serious allergic reactions can happen. Otezla may cause severe diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting. Some people taking Otezla had depression, suicidal thoughts, or weight loss. Upper respiratory tract infection and headache may occur.
With clear skin, Girls' Day Out is a good day out. Live in the moment. Ask your doctor about Otezla.
The more love we give, the more love we feel. The more love we feel, the more rainbows we puke. The more rainbows we puke, the more oranges we anthropomorphize. The more oranges we anthropomorphize, the more deer we become. The more deer we become, the more friends we find. The more friends we find, the more our friends find us. The more our friends find us, the more love we feel. The more love we feel, the more love we give.
Labor Day is finally here. It's our biggest savings event of the year, and you'll find huge savings on our newest fall arrivals for every room in your home. During the Labor Day event, you'll get a full 60 months to pay with absolutely no interest and no money down. Or for cash purchases, we'll subtract the tax. Join us this Labor Day weekend with special hours Friday and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Hurry in to your local More Furniture showroom for the best selection.
I'm lucky. I found the one thing that I was put on this earth to do.
At RAM, our calling